Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of STEM for Girls by Girls in STEM. I'm your host, Serena Beri, and today's episode is entitled Girls Can Code, Learning and Fun. In today's episode, we'll be talking about coding, web designs, hackathons, careers in coding, and also different coding languages. Some of the basic coding languages are Scratch, Python, and Java. Scratch is typically used by preschool and elementary school students. It is a basic coding program that allows you to design your own fun interactive stories, games, and animations. Python is a general-purpose programming language, and it's very versatile from everything from software development to web development to scientific applications like data science. This program is typically used by elementary to middle school students. Java is the most popular language for software development, especially for the development of mobile applications and large systems development. It is typically the language that you will learn in high school. A special programming language is called MATLAB, and this is used for problem solving, computation, and manipulation of numbers in research for engineering, simulations, and modeling. I actually used MATLAB when I conducted my own research project on the effects of vibrational cues on human balance. Human balance relies on three major cues, including visual cues, auditory cues, and somatosensory cues. In my experiment, I had participants stand on a balance plate while touching a vibrational device, and I measured the direction and ways in which they swayed. Because of this collected a lot of data, and this needed to be analyzed using a MATLAB software. This project was very important to me because it studied how humans balance, and it could lead to advancements in the creation of a vibrational device that could help elderly patients prevent falls and also balance. This could be used for patients who have Parkinson's disease. Now, to talk to us a little bit more about MATLAB, we have a technical writer for MathWorks. And today I'm joined with Mrs. Zog, who is a technical engineer at MathWorks, and on the weekends she teaches young kids about coding at Penguin Coding School. So thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here, Serena. Thanks for having me.
And so can you tell us a little bit about your experience as a woman in STEM and some of your accomplishments and how they have touched you?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. So my STEM experience started with my undergraduate studies in information technology in India. Soon after graduation, I came to the US for my graduate school. I got my master's in information technology from Carnegie Mellon. Then after grad school, I joined an early stage startup as a software engineer. I was their first full-time employee, so I got to wear several hats and learn several things on the job, and it was fun and exciting. And for the last 2 or 3 years, I've transitioned to technical writing and teaching coding on the weekends. And all in all, it has been a fantastic experience, I would say.
So I know personally, I sort of have a little bit of fear when it comes to coding. Why do you think it's important to teach young girls about coding? And can you talk a little bit about your approach and what it's like teaching different ages from like 6 to 16 years old?
Yeah, so that's right. I have taught a variety of age groups from 6 to 16, like you said, girls, boys, a mix of students that come in, and also come in with all levels of computer literacy. So for really young ones, we have to meet our students where they are. I think that applies for every age group. So for the 6-year-old, it's from what does the right click mean to, and then a left click on the mouse. And you meet them where they are and try to make it really fun and find out what motivates the child. I think that's really important when I teach students coding. Once you find out what motivates them, having them write code that they're really interested in helps them stay engaged and ask questions and be involved. And I think at the end of the day, I try to have every child leave a class knowing something more than they did when they started the class. So another thing I try to do is if students are stuck and don't quite know how to proceed, I ask them a lot of questions. And based on their answers, we try to break down the problem into even smaller chunks that are solvable. And what this gives is, it gives the students a sense of achievement, of having worked through the problem themselves, and also gives them the confidence to be able to tackle similar problems in the future. So I think coding is just a great way to increase your problem solving and analytical skills.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And one thing I've noticed specifically related to the STEM fields that there is a lot of underrepresentation of women, and especially in software engineering and coding fields. Um, so a lot of times people say, you can't be what you see. So how important do you think is diversity to the STEM field and specifically in programming?
I totally agree, Serena, that representation matters. It's really hard, especially for young, impressionable minds, to believe that they can do something if they've not seen it. So, my experiences have been interesting in this field. So, while teaching, I had a parent come up and she was really surprised. Also, had a parent report that their daughter was really excited to take coding classes because she saw so many female teachers. And I think it's just like the more female teachers you have, the more girls in STEM you have, the future generation or the little ones who want to even think about STEM as a career know that women have been successful. And it's also upon us now who are there in the field to represent and support the women who want to be a part of the STEM.
Mhm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that when people think of a typical programmer, they think of a male. So I think your work with young kids and what you're doing to encourage them to join, the programming field is really special. Um,
Yeah, and I don't want any girl to doubt whether they are able to code because anyone and everyone can code. Just because you're a girl, you don't get special powers, or if you're a boy, you don't get special powers to know coding. Everybody has to work hard, everybody has to think, and you should at least try it once if you are hesitant to see if you can do it. And I bet you can do it.
yeah, I think that's an important message that you don't have to know anything about coding to start. You can just show up and try to learn. And
Yes.
yeah. So has the pandemic affected your field in any way? I know a lot of us have been having to sit at our desks and stare at computers for a long time, but I guess that's kind of your everyday.
Yeah, I give a lot of kudos to the young students who've had to do this for the first time. And you guys are very resilient, right? From the kindergartners or the preschoolers being in front of their screens and not knowing how to turn the camera on to become experts at muting their friends and leaving meetings when they're not interested. So again, it comes down to what I said earlier, that all these skills can be learned. And I think coding is one thing that can easily be done virtually. We've seen so many of these virtual conferencing platforms have become even more popular than before. And someone's got to write code for this software, right? So again, it's the code that powers all of these Zooms and Meet at Microsoft Teams and all of these software. So I think the pandemic has definitely accelerated computer literacy for the youngest and even the oldest amongst us who probably never thought they would want an iPad for everyday use.
Mhm. And do you have any insights on virtual learning? Like, is it harder for kids to pick it up with not having an in-person teacher? Have you seen through your teaching?
I think it could be a little harder for the younger ones because they're just so prone to distraction.
Mhm.
But I guess once you set the expectations right, they will follow right along. And I felt like for the older ones, they knew what they wanted to do and they were there because they really wanted to learn. So I didn't feel there was much of a difference in their engagement. But there are several ways and techniques that you can bring up their engagement. Some students are just shy to turn on their camera and show what's behind as their background. And I respect that. They don't have to turn their camera on. Some students are shy of speaking up, even if they have questions. So I encourage them to send me a chat, a private message, and we try to debug and solve questions and get them their answers that way. So again, it comes down to comfort level of the students and meeting them where they're at. But face to face is definitely good for everybody, I guess. But now with the pandemic, we know we can do a lot of things virtually. So moving forward, I guess we can try to strive a balance between virtual and in-person learning and make a plan that works best for everybody.
Mhm. Definitely. So on your weekends, you teach coding at the Penguin Coding School, but during the weekday, you're a technical writer for MathWorks. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. A couple of years back, I transitioned into technical writing. And what I love about this job is I can get to still use a lot of my computer science and software engineering and development background, and also pursue something that I like, which is teaching and explaining. Writing is not necessarily teaching, but it's trying to figure out the information that our users of the software are looking for and explaining that to them. So I work in a team that is involved with enterprise deployment of MATLAB applications. And these applications could be several, like AI applications that you have some experience with, or in some other field also. So I write about new features, maintain the product documentation, help with software testing and usability.
Mhm. That's really interesting. So I've personally used MATLAB for my research experience to sort of help, analyze all the data that we collect, because when you're doing research, you collect these big sets of data and you need some way to analyze it. And what I noticed is that, it is kind of pretty easy to pick up the more that you use it, and it's definitely a different way of thinking. So thank you for all your help with, writing and analyzing the customer use.
It's great to hear this firsthand feedback about about a student using our software. So that's great to hear.
So I also heard that you have a passion for dance and have been learning classical dance. Um, for girls like me who are also interested in the arts but also want to pursue careers in STEM, do you have any advice on how to balance both of those worlds?
Yeah. So honestly, when I picked or when I had to decide what major to pick, even during my undergraduate studies, I had a choice because by then I had trained in classical dance for about 10 years. So that probably was a path I could take. And computer science was another path that I had in mind. But I felt like being an engineer, I might be able to pursue both. And luckily, for the last several years, I've been able to pursue a career in engineering and also have my dance projects, choreographies, performances be there on the side, and also teach several students dance. So I'd like to tell you about an interesting project that I had worked on years ago, perhaps in high school. So being a Bharatanatyam dancer myself, we had to create a project. We had to create some animations. So what I did was I took stick figures that were dancing our adavas, which are the basic steps, and made an animation in Flash, since that was the platform we were asked to use. And in Flash, I changed the tempo so that my stick figures danced in 3 speeds. So I thought that was nice, where I could actually demo this to my dance friends and also share it with my peers in this animation class. And this is where it comes down to finding what motivates you and what interests you, and taking that piece and using technology to tie the two things together.
Yeah, I think that's super cool that you were able to blend, the art field, but also the STEM field, and, make it fun and something that excites you. And speaking of making coding fun, I understand that you created a little video for us.
Yeah. So my son knows that I teach and I dance, and he's interested in both, but he's really passionate about music. And so what we did was, during one of our weekends, we used Scratch to write a little program, and that plays the piano. So again, the motivating factor here was having to play a piano on the keyboard that he got to do as he wrote this program. So he's just been wanting more and more of Scratch programming after we did this project. So this is the video that we'd like to share with you, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Hi everybody, I'm going to show you how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Another component of coding is web design. The three components of web design include HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language and defines the structure of a website. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets and is used to lay out the presentation of a website. JavaScript is used for the behavior of a website and makes this site interactive. Now we have a student demonstration from our local robotics team who created a website for their project Steam Splash.
Hello, we are Jonathan,
Rama,
Eric,
and Divya.
We are leaders of the Steam Splash online learning platform, a division of the Storm Gears robotics team.
First, let's navigate to the Steam Splash website at steamsplash.org. We have a variety of different targeted landing pages. For instance, here's one on learning web design, Python programming, and team building. Say we're interested in the web design lesson. We can just click on the Get Started button and then navigate to the account creation page. We can quickly enter in our information, confirm our email, and we're all set. Now we can begin learning about web design. Once a lesson is completed, we can earn a badge. We use a variety of mediums. For instance, we use text in this Python lesson, images in this stick and marshmallow engineering activity, videos in this web design lesson, and quizzes. All of these add up to create engaging classes for all. If we encounter issues, we can also easily just check the knowledge base for solutions or send feedback.
you may have noticed some logos in our lessons. This is because we work with a variety of content providers, such as Girls Who Code Club of Littleton. They provide the teaching content and we distribute their content as interactive lessons. Our progress highlights how wonderful STEAM is. We have all learned how to code websites through HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we've needed to learn about the concepts ranging from the domain name system to server and database administration.
The result, a scalable learning platform, is truly amazing. Steam Splash users from over 40 countries have accessed dozens of Steam Splash courses, nearly 40,000 times in the past month. If you're interested in joining as a user, go to steamsplash.org.
The future of the coding field involves artificial intelligence, and specifically the branch of artificial intelligence called machine learning. Machine learning focuses on data and algorithms that imitate the way humans learn. Algorithms process data, learn from them, and then apply what they have learned to make decisions. This will be especially useful in the creation of apps that can solve real-world problems. Now we have another student demonstration from two students from Acton who developed their own app using machine learning to detect skin diseases.
Hello, my name is Anvita, and today you will be watching a demonstration of the app that our group has created to detect skin diseases using image classification and machine learning. So this is the program that we created in Android Studio, and this part is the camera activity part, and what it does, it captures the image and it uses image classification to generate the model that we created down here, and then it will make a prediction of the skin that it is looking at. So now, before I start running, we started our testing back in January, and we've always done our testing with a certain device, and so for this demonstration I'll be using an Amazon Kindle. So now we will use this app, we will use this program, and we will test this app on our device, and we will use My Skin. Okay, so as you can see here, the app detected acne with an 87% accuracy, and this is a pretty high number, but in previous times it has been higher. And this is because I used to have very severe acne a few months ago, so the app was able to detect acne with a higher percent confidence. But over time, my acne has gotten milder, so the app's accuracy has gotten a little lower as a result. But nevertheless, this shows how this app is not only able to detect severe acne, but it was also able to detect milder acne. And you can also see here at the bottom that this app produces the symptoms and the treatments for the acne, since that was detected. So that was our demonstration, and we hope you enjoyed.
A great way to join the coding field and get involved with STEM is to join hackathons. Hackathons are online events that high school students can participate in to design and build something novel. No prior experience is needed and everyone can code, so it is a great way to get started. Now we have a video from students who participated in an online hackathon called Hack 3.
Hello, my name is Jonathan and I'm the lead organizer of Hack 3, a global online hackathon. I'm joined by over a dozen other organizers who are helping to make it a reality. A hackathon is a coding competition where participants assemble a proof of concept for an interesting idea. What matters isn't the technical complexity, but rather the creativity, the learning, and the innovation. If you're new, come join this year to learn coding. You will have access to free workshops throughout the entire weekend, cool freebies, and access to amazing mentors. At the end, we have prizes exclusively available for beginners. If you're experienced, connect with hundreds of other like-minded participants. Learn new things at workshops, debug with mentors, and pitch in front of judges that are actually industry professionals. Last year, we hosted an amazing event with over 275 participants. With more judges, more mentors, and the lessons learned from last year, we will host an amazing event. Whether you are new or experienced, there is something here for everyone. Register at hack3.co and happy hacking.
As you can see, the coding field is very diverse and it involves many different career paths. To name a few, there are software engineers, scientists, teachers, IT specialists, data analysts, and web designers. Now we have an interview with a college student who majored in CS to tell us a little bit more about what the coding field is professionally. Hi, today I'm joined with Monsi, a recent graduate from Worcester Polytechnical Institute, and she is currently a software engineer at BAE Systems. Thank you for being here, Monsi.
Thank you, Serena. Thanks for having me.
So today our whole episode is on how girls can code and girls who code. So can you talk to us a little bit about your experience as a woman in STEM?
Yeah, so I think overall it's definitely been very empowering because I know that whatever I do helps contribute to a better future that helps folks everywhere. So just knowing that I might have a small impact and that might build up later on, it just makes me feel very proud and makes me feel like I have a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what you're doing is amazing because you're showing women everywhere that they too can be software engineers and just overall increasing representation in the field. And can you talk to us a little bit about your schooling and then and what you do now as a software engineer?
Sure. So like Serena said, I graduated from WPI in 2020. So I was a software engineer there. And now at BAE Systems, I'm a software engineer, and that's of course in the defense industry. And there are so many different challenges out there. So I get to use what I learned in school about problem solving and learning how to create solutions and innovate with code. And I get to work with other types of engineers. So I might get to work with mechanical engineers, aerospace engineers, chemical engineers, electrical. There are so many out there who have all this great expertise, and we're all able to bring whatever we learned from school and internships and elsewhere and be able to put our minds together to innovate a solution.
Yeah, one of the great things about the STEM field is that it incorporates so many different types of engineering and types of science. So that's really cool that you get to do that in your own job as well. And did you experience any challenges, like as a student transitioning into the professional world? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess as a student transitioning, you're definitely around a lot of folks in college who are around similar age, maybe similar interests. So there's definitely a change in identity. So you're no longer just a student who's working hard to get an A or get whatever grade you want to learn the material. You're around folks who might have come from different types of backgrounds, have different experience, and just trying to understand, what's out there and what problems we need to solve. That's the main thing that's very important. Your purpose definitely changes. For us at BAE, for example, it's to protect those who protect us. So we might have a similar mission statement, and that now contributes to our identity. And our identity is more than just a student. It's more of how am I a citizen of the world, and what can I do to, I guess, fully transition to being an adult and being more independent.
Mm-hmm. That's a great answer. And do you have any advice for any young girls who are looking to join software engineering or programming who might not even have any experience with it?
Yeah, so a great place to start is first just ask your science teachers if there's something that they can do to help point you in the right direction. I know there's a lot of groups out there that focus more on STEM awareness, and even what Serena's doing right now, you guys can keep watching her talk to learn more about different types of fields. It's so important to start researching and just simply Googling different things you're interested in. That helps you learn more about different jobs out there. So there might be folks who work more in a lab as a software engineer, or folks who are out in the field talking to customers, understanding wants and needs as a software engineer. So that's very important. And the other thing is going to sites like Girls Who Code, even YouTube, to watch tutorial videos, because the big thing about computer science is that it's not something that you can learn by looking at flashcards. It's a bit more than that. You have to be able to program and write code at the end of the day. So it's really important to go look up how to do those basics and reach out to your professors or even teachers in school to say, how do I start? And once they show you how to set up everything on your computer or even write down certain code, you're able to just propel yourself and have so much more exposure to college. I know when I entered WPI, there were a lot of folks who had different kind of backgrounds. Some had grown up learning computer science all throughout their education, while others learned about it during the later half of high school or even their first day of school. So it's really different, being able to absorb material when you know about it beforehand versus seeing it for the first time. So I'd say that, you guys are young, you have an advantage. Just start Googling and start asking for help, and don't be afraid to ask how to start.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great message, is to not be afraid. You can come into it without knowing anything and then just go for it. And one of the unique things I think about the software field is that it really is like a different way of thinking and problem solving, and you get to use those skills every day. So that's really cool. And so one thing about the software field and computer science is that there is a underrepresentation of women and young girls. Why do you think that is? And do you think that there's a way that we can work toward decreasing the gap?
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable, especially in computer science. STEM in general, but once you look at computer science, you just see a lot of folks who are dropping the major year after year. And the biggest thing is getting your hands dirty and starting to learn how to program and write code, because there's a lot of great representation out there in terms of getting people into STEM and getting them excited about it, telling them about role models such as Swati Mohan and people like that. They're doing great things and it really attracts people. But where the gap is showing folks that this is how you start. This is how you set up an IDE, or this is how you set up code to start learning. I think that's the biggest thing that's lacking. And once you help folks get started in that way, along with raising attention and gaining attraction, that's something that can really help to change the way that women are represented in STEM in the future, especially in computer science.
Mm-hmm. And have you done anything at school or been in a part of any clubs that have helped to raise awareness about women in STEM?
Yeah, so the biggest thing about college is that you're exposed to so many clubs out there, and there are some that are focused more for women and trying to increase engagement. One is Women in Computer Science. That's a great organization to be a part of, and if you all are pursuing college, your school may have a chapter. Another that I was very, very involved in is ACM, which is Association of Computing Machinery. It's not necessarily just for women, but it's about computer science folks in general. And the biggest thing to do is when you're learning all these difficult subjects that may be new and you may not have support, it's important to find a nice community that, you can really rely on and, maybe pay it forward to. So I was very involved in that, and we helped to put on different kind of workshops to teach folks how to use GitHub, which is a place where you get to store your code, keep working on it, and share it with others. So that's one thing I didn't learn in school, but I learned through the workshops. And there's hackathons. So you may learn more about this when you go to college, but these are events that are on weekends usually, where folks can come in there with no experience, and there are mentors who help them start projects that might fit a theme, get to work with other people from different schools or maybe even your school. I know that ACM, that organization, put that on, and I was involved my senior year as a co-organizer for that, and that was great because it gets all these people from other engineering majors into STEM, but also we had a lot of business folks who came in and other types of majors, so it's really cool to see what folks can work on together once they have that mentorship. I guess one of the other last things that I did is take part in other projects or internships. Over the summer, I interned at Dell for 2 years, so that definitely helped me see what folks were doing in real life. So for example, I knew that I was learning certain material in school, but actually seeing how folks use it in real time and how they use it in their jobs, it's very cool. I think there's this other process known as Scrum, which is just a way to organize your work. And that's not something you would learn in school had you not been in a class that explicitly taught it. So stuff like that is incredibly important to gain exposure to. So just put yourself out there, start interviewing for things, start trying to be involved in things, and you'll eventually just get to learn so much more than you expected.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that may cause these young girls to have a fear towards computer science and software is that they might not think it's really fun. How have you made, computer science fun to learn for yourself or for others?
Yeah, this is a really funny question because I love memeing, and so memes are basically a way to represent a situation in a cute little comic or graphic. So I know for me, whenever I'm programming and I get some kind of error, I might initially feel a sense of frustration, but when I'm looking at these memes on Instagram or elsewhere, it's funny because they poke fun at the different errors that are there, and they help me understand that it's not necessarily the end of the day. It's not necessarily the end of the world if your code's not working or you have this tiny error. It just helps to poke little jokes and fun into it, and there's a whole community of memers, so you feel like you're not alone. I make my own memes too and share them with folks, so whenever we need a good laugh, we look at that. But also, it's helped me learn more about computer science because I'll see jokes about open brackets or closed brackets, things like that. And at times when I might not know what the error is, I think of that joke and it ends up being the answer to, solving the errors. So yeah, I like memeing, and, I think that's the most fun part.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to problem solve and, make a joke out of things that might seem really stressful in the moment. And then later you learn that, oh, well, I actually knew what I was doing and I figured it out. So thank you so much for being here. And we've learned a lot from what it's like to be a computer science student and a software engineer. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Serena. It was nice being here.
And that concludes our episode. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for our next episode on innovation.